did I make the deal?
All right, let's start in pen number 1. These two guys are our original 2 breeder bucks. That one right there in front is Horton, the light spotted, and joining him is Frankfurt, the dark buck. We named these guys after our hometowns. How fitting to name our first breeder bucks after our beginnings.
As you can tell, their antlers are cut off. They got to where they were fighting so bad, I just didn't want either one of them to get injured. So they're 2-year-olds. They were from our original herd from Brad Farmer. I'll show pictures of Horton with his antlers before we cut him off. He's a pretty good deer. So they're both 2-year-olds. They were in with the fawns last breeding season, so these are the 2 bucks that our fawns are all out of. Most of them are out of the light colored buck. There's only a couple out of the dark one. But yeah, they might find new homes this next year. You know, a lot of people sell 3-year-olds, and that's where they'll be next summer. So we'll see how their antlers grow out next year. So that's our 2 original bucks. Sorry about the wind. The wind's blowing hard today. It's 44 degrees, I think. A cold front came through. So there's 13 does in here. They're all 2 years old this year. Let's see if I turn off the 4-wheeler. Our original herd came from Brad Farmer at Farmer's Fallows, and he picked out all the does in here except for Amelia. She came from Texas. He picked out our original mix of deer that you saw come shooting out of the trailer on the last video. And if you haven't seen it, it's worth going back and watching our last video that talks about how we got started and all this. But he did a great job at picking a variety of colors. The white ones are hard to come by, so there's just one of them. But there's 3 chocolates in there. There's I don't know, four of the light spotted ones, and whatever the remaining balance of dark spot, or common color they'll call it. I'll try to put a couple pictures of the color differences here along the way as I'm talking, but the big difference between the common color and the light spot, sometimes they almost look the same as far as coat, you know, the main part of their coat. But the big difference you can see on Amelia is the black horseshoe around their tail. So they'll have a black tail and kind of a horseshoe shape, an upside down horseshoe on their hind end. Now the light spot does will have that horseshoe, but it's brown. It's not black or chocolate colored or black, whatever you want to call it, dark, real dark. And there's the white doe. That's pretty obvious. See, I did a great job of getting us a good mix. Some of them are tamer than others, and some are a little bigger than others. And they didn't all have fawns last year, but you know, we were new into this, and there's a chance we pressured them early in the pregnancy and caused that. But we're hopeful this year, trying to do everything right to get our breeding numbers up, conception rates up. But yeah, this is all the original does plus Amelia. So some of them have kind of a personality. The white doe is always the first one of the feed bunk. Amelia is always the first one of the peanut bucket. So they're in what we call pen 3. This is actually the biggest pen. When we get done AIing them, breeding them, and they go in with EZ37, the live cover buck, they'll have pins 3 and 4. But pen 3 is a pretty good one for funneling into the catch pen, so that's where I've got them. And we'll see if we can get a little bit closer. they don't like when I get off the four-wheeler. There they go. You see when they run, if you know what a mule deer runs like, sometimes they run like a mule deer, they kind of hop, and sometimes they run like he's running, just like a regular old, whitetail. So it's kind of neat. Sometimes they bound along, and sometimes they run like a normal animal.
This is Amelia. We purchased her from 4T Fallow and picked her up down in Texas. Her dad is 4T Extra. He is a solid buck with an impressive set of antlers. 4T Fallow bred her to Big Easy before we picked her up. Big Easy is a monster of a buck from 4T Fallow. Amelia was our first strategic purchase to start integrating proven outcross genetics into our herd. Amelia is the tamest deer on the farm, but she's kind of goofy in the chute. She pretty much tells us that she doesn't enjoy it. She makes a lot of noise. We love her though, and you know the quickest way to her heart is with a lot of peanuts. In the fallow deer world, the important deer within the herd earn names. This is one of the best parts of deer farming for me. The first lesson I learned when we bought cattle was to never name them, as you didn't know when one would have to be sold. I love that this is different in the fallow deer world. We have chosen to name this special doe Amelia. This is done as a nod to our Northeast Kansas roots, as well as to our love of aviation. Amelia Earhart was a famous American pilot that was born in Atchison, Kansas, very close to where Brennan was born and raised in Horton, Kansas. She was the first to fly solo and non-stop across the United States, as well as the second to fly solo and non-stop across the Atlantic Ocean. She tragically went missing while attempting to fly around the world. This strong Kansas female pilot was a great inspiration to naming our first fallow doe.
Meet me right at the gate in the fawn pen is Amelia's daughter, or Red 308 is her number. She likes the peanuts, so she'll come running. And little chocolate buck behind her. He's one of only 2 bucks we got this year. They both like the peanuts. Over in the fawn pen number 2. There's 8 fawns in here. We'll go to the back corner and see the rest of them. They're getting their winter coat. That chocolate buck's kind of getting his light color, lighter hairy color. There's the rest of the fawns. I threw peanuts out, so the does are coming too, but there's a wild one. Light spotted doe back there is kind of wild, kind of spooky. So we got 2 bucks and the rest of them are doe fawns. The chocolate buck, and then I think that little guy up there in front, he's the other buck. No, that's not right. Where is he? There he is, right there, right in the middle. So the way that we do the tags, the farm tag, or the red tag in this case, for the bucks goes in the right ear, and for the does it goes in the left. So just at a glance you can kind of tell what you're looking at. Got 1 chocolate fawn and a couple of light spot ones, and the rest are the common color. There is some variation though. You can see some of some of the dark spotted ones, like that guy there has quite a bit of spots, but then some of these are, you know, a lot more kind of dull colored. But color really varies from summer to winter time. So 8 fawns. The way we did our tagging system is you do a color for each year. So this year they're all red tags. And then like there's our, I think that's the oldest one there in the front. He's or she's red 301. So 3 is the year they were born, so 2023. And then the first one being 01. So you got 301 through 308. And next year we'll change colors. Again, it just makes it easy to tell age and what deer it is from a little bit of a distance. Fawns are pretty tame. They like the peanuts, all except for that one all the way in the back. The doe she's out of is one of the first ones to want to get away, and looks like she inherited that trait. But the rest of them are pretty good. They're an improvement over the way the original herd was when I first got them, that's for sure. So fawns were born starting about June, I want to say 3rd. And then Amelia's daughter, the one right there, she was the last one. She's red 308. She was born, let's see, I think it was late July, maybe mid-July. So they all got separated back in September. They've done pretty good since. They're eating the hay and eating the grain and running around eating the grass. They'll all stay together until the bucks start to grow antlers next year, and then I'll put the 2 buck fawns in with the older bucks. And then the doe fawns will go in with the other does. That more wild light spotted one, she was just about white when she was born. I mean, we actually thought she was going to be a white doe just because her belly and legs were so white. You could see her from all the way across the pen laying in the grass. And the chocolate buck, he was just about jet black. Well, that's pin number 2. That's the fawns.
True or false? Twins are just as common with fallow deer as with whitetails. False. It is rare for fallow deer to have twins, as they typically only give birth to a single fawn. However, with whitetail deer, it's not uncommon for them to have twins or even triplets.
All right, this guy, he's known right now as EZ37. He's a yearling buck, and I'm super excited to see what he turns into. He's a buck that we have partners on. He's owned by us and Chris Azell at Cougar Ridge Fallow, as well as Lance Clausen and Jason Milligan. They're all partners on Chris Azell's herd. So we've got him up here to be our breeder buck for a couple of years. Now the reason that we're excited about him, other than he's super cool, super tame, is he's out of Chief. So he's a direct son of Chief, who I'll put a picture up here next to him. Chief is a Solifay buck. It's just a really cool buck. You know, I had kind of picked him out to AI2 this year because he's got this really cool flare and cool palms and just a great look. And as it turned out, we got a live offspring from him for our breeder buck. We bought at an auction. So yeah, he's out of Chief. Chief has thrown some big old offspring. He's just a known producer. Really cool look to him, and everybody knows who he is because he's produced some great animals. Now, the other exciting part about old EZ37 is his mother is out of Bullwinkle. So here's Bullwinkle. Now he's obviously a giant. We saw him in person when we were down in Texas looking at Jason Milligan's farm. He's also a buck who has produced a lot of really big offspring. And there are only a couple of Chief Bullwinkle offspring that exist. One of them was I think there's another embryo transfer, full brother to EZ37. EZ37 was an embryo transfer, so they pulled an embryo out of a doe, out of his mother, and implanted it in a doe in Oklahoma, and that's how he ended up in Oklahoma. So yeah, super cool deer. He's been pretty neat. I'll put a picture of him when we first got him, and you can see the color difference. He's really lightened up, and he's just got a really cool faded, kind of brown, faded to white look that, you know, we're just excited about where he ends up. He's going to be a giant, I hope. So we needed a good breeder buck, and man, we lucked out with a really cool combination of genetics. So he's in there by himself right now, but he'll be in with the does in another 3 weeks or so. So by himself, but he'll get rewarded for being kept in solitary confinement for a while. I didn't want to put my other bucks with him because I'd have to separate them later anyway, and I really didn't want to risk him getting hurt. So he's been in there by himself. But yeah, that's EZ37. He doesn't have a permanent name yet. We're still gonna see what he does next year, and we'll give him a name at that point. But when we cut his antlers off, his bases were massive. I'll put another picture off to the side here of his bases when we cut them off. Just huge antlers for a yearling. And that was his first set of antlers. Some yearlings will actually grow a second set. I don't know what causes that, if it's genetics or environment or feed or what. Ours have never done it, but some do it, and it gives a yearling kind of a unfair advantage when they show their quote-unquote yearling antlers. But his were a true first set, and just massive bases. I mean, you can see them probably in the camera now, the size of the bases that are left. But anyway, EZ37.
It sure hasn't taken long for these fallow deer to fit into our family. We love taking the kids out to the pen to hang out with them, take care of them, feed them peanuts, and just watch them. I love how their personalities are starting to shine through as we get to know each other better. It's amazing that they don't seem quite as skittish of the kids as they used to be. Our fallow deer herd may not be the largest, but that's okay. It works for us. It works for our property. It works for this stage of life. We are really happy with all of them, and really happy with how much we've accomplished at this point in time. I'm so excited to see how our herd continues to grow, and what our next batch of fawns are going to look like, and then the next batch, and then the next batch. Keep watching to see how we all grow and what the future holds for BRC fallow deer.